everyone. Before my presentation, I have to say that I appreciate very much for Dr. Matsuo and Dr. Miran's effort. Thank you very much. And thanks all for coming to our presentation today. So today I'd like to talk about sport nutrition topics. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Michiyo Kimura. I'm professor of Takasaki University of Health and Welfare, and I lead the Sport Nutrition Division, the Sports Science and Medicine Committee of Japan Table Tennis Association. My sports experience, unfortunately, no table tennis. Our field of specialty, sport nutrition and nutrition education. Let's get started. So today's my title is When do you take a meal during the table tennis tournament? Advice from the sports dietitian. I'd like to ask you some questions. How do you make a strong body? Do you know the best way to take a meal during the table tennis tournament? Do you have any eating strategies to win the game? Can you conduct the best dietary strategies? I'd like to tell you about these things. So I will conduct my presentation in the following order. 1. Food guide for athletes. The optimal pre, during, and after competition meals. 3rd, food environment in table tennis tournament. And lastly, future perspective. Firstly, I will talk about food guide for athletes. Some players believe that they only need to have a winning diet just before a competition. However, our bodies take longer time to build up. It should begin the full training process. I'd like to tell you what players should eat for daily training using food guide for athletes. This is a food guide for athletes. This food guide recommends the athlete should prepare the 6 dishes every meal time. Staple food, its main fuel source, and these are side dishes group and fruit groups. Its main source of antioxidant, trace minerals and fiber. And this is a main dishes group. It provides high-quality protein and essential minerals. And dairy product group, its main source of calcium. This is a breakfast and supper of junior players A who belong to the good team. There are 6 dishes respectively. They had good knowledge and nutrition and food, and their attitude to nutrition was extremely good. This picture shows the breakfast and supper of junior player B who belong to the underperforming team. Compared with the previous picture, there is fewer dishes. This is a chart that compares the physical fitness levels, A-team players and B-team players. As you can see, players of A-team players had better physical fitness scores compared with B-team players. This result suggests that eating habits as well as exercise training may affect physical fitness level and condition in athletes. I'd like to move on to next topic, the optimal pre, during, and after competition meals. I have to explain the carbohydrate metabolism in human body. The most important carbohydrate for an athlete is the complex carbohydrate, starch. Starch is a major energy source in diet. It's broken down into glucose. Glucose is stored in the liver and muscle as glycogen. Glycogen can be used to maintain blood glucose at a constant level. The glycogen to energy, change to energy. A complex carbohydrate starch improves endurance, shortens recovery time, and helps concentration. Next, I'll show you the when and what players should eat before competition. Breakfast on the day of the competition is also very important. Intake of high carbohydrate diet 3 to 4 hours before the competition has been shown to increase liver as well as muscle glycogen level and enhance exercise performance. This is an example of a breakfast. Rice bowl and noodle are convenience breakfast foods on the day of competition. This figure shows the effect of the time of carbohydrate intake on muscle glycogen recovery after exercise. In this study, carbohydrate was administered either immediately or 2 hours after exercise. As you can see, glycogen recovery rate after exercise is higher when the subject intake carbohydrate immediately after exercise. Delaying the ingestion of a post-exercise carbohydrate supplement reduces the rate of muscle glycogen storage. This slide shows how much food athletes should take to restore the glycogen level in muscle immediately after exercise. For example, male players should have 2 bowls steamed rice after exercise. This slide shows the timing of supplementation before and after competition. Players should consider how long they have between the matches. If they don't have more than 30 minutes, they should eat energy gel, sport drink, and fruits. If they have 30 to 60 minutes, they can eat energy bar and sponge cake and so on. If they have 60 to 120 minutes, they can eat light meal or sandwiches. So far, I was talking about the carbohydrate storage, eating timing, recovery, and eating amount. Next, I'd like to show you what players should intake in order to recover the muscle glycogen as fast as possible after match. This slide shows the carbohydrate protein complex indicated by blue columns increase the rate of muscle glycogen recovery after exercise, compared with carbohydrate alone, indicated by red columns. As you can see, this might be due to the higher insulin response, indicated blue lines, after carbohydrate protein intake. Insulin stimulates glucose uptake and glycogen synthesis activity in muscle. This is why carbohydrate protein intake is effective in glycogen recovery after exercise. Next, recent study reported that co-ingestion of carbohydrate and fat also stimulates insulin release from pancreas. Although this is an animal study, we found that co-ingestion of carbohydrate fat promoted glycogen recovery after exercise compared with carbohydrate alone. These studies suggest that for the rapid recovery of muscle glycogen after exercise, players should intake carbohydrate plus protein and or fat immediately after exercise. Even though the players have enough knowledge on sport nutrition that I explained so far, it is impossible for the players to do them if they don't have good enough food environment. This cycle means food environment for athletes. To maintain good performance, they need a good food environment, such as nutrition education, social support, norms, customs, and rules of team, meal serving, dining area, and eating schedule. It is very important for us to establish and improve those food environments. Although all these factors are very important for the players, today I want to show you our study focus on the eating schedule. Let me explain for the background of survey. Table tennis players usually have to repeat several matches in a day in international tournaments. they have to compete late into the night. Especially, junior players are still in the stage of growth and development, so players are required to have adequate nourishment and rest. The purpose of this study was, therefore, to survey current food environment in junior tournaments and to gather information to make new guidelines for junior players on food environments in international competition. This slide shows a method. We accompany a Japanese cadet and junior team at one of the Junior and Cadet Open, which was held in last year. Match schedules and rest time between the matches were surveyed. In addition, we did an interview survey about the dietary intake states of the Japanese junior players. This is the result. This slide shows the number of matches during competition for 5 days. Blue and pink color represent male and female players. Yellow and orange color represent cadet and junior players. This line means total matches for 5 days. Average number is 19 plus minus 5 per players. A male cadet player E, who won the silver medal in the men's cadet singles event, repeated 9 matches in day 5. The highest value of matches for 5 days was 25 in B cadet player. This result shows the number of games. The color means same as last slide. Average number of games was 74. A male cadet player E played 34 games in day 5. The largest total number of games was 94 in C cadet players. This slide shows the estimated energy expenditure. This line means average of energy expenditure per day. The average energy expenditure was 645 kilocalories. For example, E players' energy expenditure during matches in day 5 is estimated to be 1125 kilocalories. The highest energy expenditure was 1242 kilocalories in C cadet player. His average energy expenditure was 942 kilocalories. This energy expenditure seems to be higher than those observed in soccer games, which is estimated 924 kilocalories. This slide shows the rest time between the matches, each player, day 5. This line means start time, match type, number of games, match time, and rest time between the matches. The average rest time of each player was only about 40 minutes in a day 5. I already mentioned that he had to play 9 matches in a day 5. You can see the rest time between matches 8 and 9 was extremely short, only 17 minutes. He had about 70 minutes between match 4 and 5 at lunchtime, but he had to make plan with his coach for next important match. Actually, it should have been shorter, so that he could not have enough time to have lunch and digest it. Player E reported that he had only energy bar and energy jelly instead of lunch. This table shows the schedule of the circuit, which held from February to August in last year. Most of the competition had been scheduled until 9 p.m. as indicated blue frames. In 3 competitions, last match of the day was after 10 p.m. as indicated red frames. I presume that there are several players who missed dinner because they had to compete in matches during the dinner time. It is a big problem for athletes not to sleep for enough time. In conclusion, Since the match schedules seems to be very tight in international tournaments, players sometimes have difficulty in having adequate dietary intake and have tendency to be energy deficient. Lastly, I'd like to talk about future perspective from nutritional point of view. It is necessary for players, especially young players, to finish the last match until 8 p.m. If they will have to compete next day, they have to finish the last match earlier. Second, enough rest time should be scheduled. The organizer should locate the dining hall close to competition hall. It is desirable for players to be able to walk within 10 minutes to dining hall. The organizer should establish a cafeteria in the competition hall if players are not able to have the meal time in the schedules and or to finish the last match until 8 p.m. Today, I talked about these things. Food guide for athletes. I explained about 6 dishes for good food balance. I showed you the optimal pre, during, and after competition meals. I explained that the carbohydrate loading, eating timing, amount, and effect of the core ingestion. Third, I explained the food environment in table tennis tournaments. Finally, I explained the future perspective. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much. It's
Thank you very much. Very nice presentation. We still have some time. There are some questions for Michiyo.
Professor, what is the best fruit for recovery?
Fruit?
For recovery.
athletes, for food
Which
recovery?
fruit would you suggest as a recovery?
I recommend to players, if you are not お腹すくって何でしたっけ? You are not hungry after competition. You should drink orange juice or some fruit juice.
Yeah. Michael?
Just a question in general about drinking. I think it's this topic. How much should a player drink? What should a player drink? Not instead of food, but in general, how much water should a player drink? What should a player drink? Should a player drink water or Coca-Cola or whatever? This is yeah. No. But
I usually recommend take some water and sport drink first. If you want to drink water, you should drink water and but the energy expenditure is very high. You should drink sport drink or juice.
okay.
Yeah,
What sport
they
drink
need
and why you
much
should drink a sport
energy.
drink? It's about because of the sugar, or because if I do it because of the sugar, I also can drink Coca-Cola. You know, it's I know. But,
So Coca-Cola includes so much sugars. So
Michiyo, thank you very much.
thank you
for
very
your
much
time.
for your attention.